We're live. How's everybody doing? So we have Constantine here today, and we have
Hello.
Exit here today. Uh, Hooray! Exit, do you want to say hello?
Hey everybody. Been a busy week. I'm glad we're here though, because I missed a whole bunch of stuff the last couple days, so I can't wait to catch up.
Yeah, there's been a lot of just a lot of things going on. uh, there's been there have been a few videos recently that have been just completely full of information. Uh, so a lot of the information that I have is from very few sources. So it's kind of weird. Uh, but anyways, I don't know. There's one thing I don't know if you even want to talk about this, Constantine. But do you want to talk about Marcus, or do you just want to skip it?
If people are interested, I'm not sure that people heard much about it. It's quite a very specific topic. But if you want to talk,
Oh,
yeah,
well, I
sure.
don't know. I've been I've been getting a lot of messages today about Marcus. I don't really have anything to say about Marcus. I think
Uh,
I don't even know what to say.
let me, for people to be more, maybe people not heard about it. There is a guy called, his name is Marcus. He is master sergeant of the 47th Brigade, and today he had published rapport. I don't know how to say it in English. We call it rapport, but it's basically your ask to the commanders, where he asks him to demote him to the position of commander of the infantry fighting vehicle, instead of being master sergeant of the brigade, because he does not agree with what's happening in the brigade, and he thinks that one of the brigade officers is how he said, a complete degenerate or something like this, um, which is quite disturbing for you. It's quite disturbing to read. But what people should understand, two things I want to comment on, is that Marcus is a good guy, but he is very emotional, and he is like an influencer. And the best things he do is goes with his emotions, so it's really straightforward. And he's still only a sergeant. He's not a brigade commander. Even though it's a good high rank, it's still a sergeant. And he may not see absolutely everything what is happening in the brigade, and I know he may feel upset about brigade had losses. Obviously, this is a war; losses are expected, but things did not exactly go his way. So he made a very emotional post on his social networks, and he's very popular on social networks. And this social network targets his one of the commanders of the brigade, but there is nothing really much to discuss here. It's an emotional person being emotional. Things may be bad. Someone have made maybe wrong decisions. That's true. That happens everywhere. If you have worked in any company in the world, or any large organization bigger than 3 people, even with 3 people, you usually have that. You have people disagreeing, and those who are most emotional ones let their often get their emotions spilled. So that's all I can say. I'm sure they will figure out everything, and they will come back to a solution. And if not, well, he will move to the machine infantry fighting vehicle commander, and I'm sure he will find his place there, because he's good at that. He is good at killing Russians. So let's hope he finds his place, and brigade can move on. That's all I wanted to say. There is not much more to add to it. Don't make
Yeah,
too much drama about it. It's not that big as people think.
yeah, because all the messages I've gotten about it were from people kind of freaking out regarding like the brigade itself is like falling apart, or the commanders are all idiots, or just like messages like that, or like, oh, I can't believe this is happening. Because to a lot of people, Marcus is one of the few kind of soldiers that they know of to a lot of people, because he's so popular on social media. He had like a YouTube channel, I think, right? And he also uses like Twitter and other things as well. So he is popular on the internet, and he's made a lot of public comments on social media. So he is a face that a lot of people know. So him saying these things made a lot of people freak out. And
Yeah,
I agree
I,
that this is being
you're
kind of blown out of proportion.
Yeah, but yeah, this is blown out of proportion, I would say, because he's a person. He has his emotions. You must understand that brigade is has right now the hardest part. They are assaulting the hardest part in the battlefield. Their sector is the most complex one. It's most heavily fortified. They suffered losses. They lost equipment. They lost people, and these things they happen at war. But no matter if no matter how many times you say they happen at war, you must understand that you cannot not take it personally when you're there. It's really hard because that's your people, that's your people that you speak with them every day, and you must understand that it's not just you cannot simply say, oh, it happens, it's war. People freak out, people make emotional decisions, people try to blame someone. Sometimes they're blinded by what's happening, what's going on. Sometimes they don't have all the factors. And keep in mind, there are sometimes things that in the military you got to do, and they can endanger everyone, and they can put you in danger, and they can kill you because that's the military. There are risks. Sometimes those risks are high. Sometimes there are missions that are almost suicidal. But this is a war. If you could do a war where you would win absolutely every battle, there will not be wars because everyone would be winning absolutely everything. And but that's not the real world. So they have their problems. I'm sure they will overcome it. There is nothing to freak out. He's not even he is just like one of the he's master sergeant of the brigade. He is a face, he's influencer, he has his opinion, and he freaked out more than he should have. That's my take on it, and we should just let it go and wait for them to figure out. Like with any team, I had fights in my unit that I served in. I have conflicts at work where I work every day, and these things happen. Sometimes they spill over, sometimes they don't. So this is one you're being observed. One of those spillovers doesn't mean it's a disaster. Don't freak out.
Yeah. So yeah. So that's kind of it. Like I said before, I don't really have much to say about it. It's just these things happen. It's just working in a stressful environment leads to this sort of thing, and it doesn't necessarily mean anything. There were, I mean, the leaders of the brigade all seem pretty competent to me. They all have their own histories, their own heroic feats, I guess you could say. That they're all like they're not a bunch of morons. Like the people running the brigade are all pretty smart, and they're all veterans, and they all have a lot of combat experience. So it's just one of those things. It's a high stress environment. So anyways, oh, exit. Do you want to? Anyway, I don't know what to say. Okay, so
I'm not commenting that. That's for sure.
Yeah, I was just hoping for like a segue to something else. I have no segue. All right, so there's one other piece of news. Oh, my map didn't update correctly. That's frustrating. Well, this is supposed to be blue. It did that thing where it didn't save my map change. But anyways, I guess I could like update it right now. Anyways, we got news from Torska yesterday. We got news yesterday from the brigade that was here, which is the 23rd Brigade. They posted a video that stated that they were shelling Russians in the town, right here, basically. And then today, the video disappeared, and they basically said, "Oops." So I don't really know what to make of that. There are a number of things that could explain what happened here. First, it could be that their like media person like got a video and misinterpreted it and like posted it wrong on Facebook. Another interpretation is that that was a really old video and doesn't represent the current situation. Another interpretation is that the video is accurate but wasn't supposed to be posted yet. So I don't know, Constantine, did you see any of this?
Which video are you talking about? Are you showing it in?
I'm not showing it. It was I have a screenshot of it right here. We can look at a screenshot. But it was more or less grads being shot into this area of the town. You can see all the little grad explosions, but the video is much like this, except the grads are falling from the sky. But otherwise, this pretty much tells you all you need to know.
No, I don't know. So you were the first one telling me about it. So
Okay, so today, just not too long ago, actually, Deep State came out and said that there's no Russians in the town in Torska. It was a misunderstanding. Now, again, I don't know what that misunderstanding is. It could be that the misunderstanding was that the video wasn't supposed to be posted yet. That is one possibility. Or it could be that this was Russian shelling and not Ukrainian shelling. So, anyways, those are kind of the options. But I don't really know how to synthesize it from there. As I've been talking, I've been updating the map, so it should be fixed now. It's not fixed. Oh well, I tried. Anyways, yeah, I tried fixing it.
Valiant effort.
I honestly don't understand why it's not fixed, because I did literally fix it, but it's still not fixed. So anyway, so we'll try again. But anyways, so these two stories, the Marcus story and this story, are what I've been drowning in DMs from for the past like few hours. Oh, I understand why. That was a significant error I just made. Uh-oh. I did something really bad. Oh well. You know, these things happen. I just accidentally updated yesterday to today instead of today to today. But you know, these things happen. These things happen. Anyway, I'm gonna move on to actual news now because I'm sick of wasting time. Okay, so in kind of the Sumi area, starting yesterday, the head of Sumi, I can't remember his name, but the head of it, he announced that there was going to be a mandatory evacuation of 5 kilometers of the Sumi border, which I've marked in this light blue. So this is a 5 kilometer buffer zone that Ukraine is going to forcefully evacuate. I don't know how forceful their evacuations are. Very often, they tell everyone to leave and they like send in buses and stuff, but then the people don't actually leave. So, to be honest, I think if you're still living in these towns that have been under constant shelling for the past year straight, if you're still living there, I really doubt you're going to evacuate at this point. I feel like all the people who were going to evacuate already did. But anyways, they announced this evacuation, and Russia has been doing these airstrikes. They've been shooting rockets from helicopters, dropping bombs from planes, doing all these sorts of rather rude things to Sumi. And the same is sort of true for like this area of Kharkiv, which is, I guess, kind of like a honorary Sumi, like this little corner of Kharkiv. Uh, so yeah, so that's one piece of news. Now, just going from the Kupiansk area, I updated a significant portion of my map. This area that I'm hovering my mouse over right now, and this other area that's just south of it. I had this all as a gray area, but it's Russian controlled, and part of the reason we know it's Russian controlled is that Ukraine published a video of themselves shelling this area today. So this is a still from the video. In this still, you can see 3 destroyed Russian tanks right here. I have no clue when these tanks were destroyed. They don't look recently destroyed. They're probably... maybe they are recently destroyed. I really don't know. There are like tank tracks over here, so maybe they are recent. They're not from this video though. They're before this video, but they're shelling this Russian position along this tree line, and this tree line is right here. So it is right here, right next to Kotlярivka. I don't know how to say that. Similarly, south of Novoselivska and Kuzemivka, there's been, I don't know if this is a Russian advance. The Russians say it's a Russian advance. It could be that they were always here. I just didn't know about it. But anyways, yesterday, Ukraine was, I forgot I broke yesterday. Anyway, yesterday, Ukraine was dropping bombs from a drone in this general area, which is how I determined the extent of their the Russian control, at least part of the reason why. And similarly, in this little region, a little bit south of it, this was Russian control for a while that I only recently was able to, and by recently I mean yesterday, was able to determine exactly where the Russian line is. So I believe this is the exact Russian line, although I might be wrong. At least it's more accurate than it used to be. So yeah, and there's another Ukrainian drone attack on these little trucks over here. Well, I think this video may have been old. Anyways, so that's kind of the front line change. Now, what's been going on around Novoselivska? I don't know, Constantine, do you want to talk about this?
Like the things there, they are not really well for Ukraine at this moment. We have not very, there were rotations made here, and the new units are not, learning to hold their ground still. So it's an issue. I cannot talk too much about it, but it's not really good for Ukraine. Unfortunately, I cannot speak too much about what's going on because
Yeah.
that's secret information.
Yeah. But uh, let's just say, generally speaking, Russia has built up a tremendous amount of forces along this. Here, I'm gonna draw. I'm turning on my little drawing. Okay. They've built up a lot of forces along like this area. They seem to be getting ready to do an offensive. Basically, they want their stated goal is to take Liman. So they want to take Liman. They want to take Torsky. They want to take everything along this river here, the Jerabets River. So like kind of like their first goal is to take everything up to the river, which is like more or less this area. Their second goal is to cross the river and capture Liman. So these are kind of the two minimum things they want to do. Those are their openly stated goals. You may notice that these are their same goals that they set for their winter offensive, and that winter offensive did not accomplish anything. But to be fair, that winter offensive, they spent a lot of resources on Bakhmut. So now they seem to be more focused on this Kremena area, where they want to move into Liman and cross the Jerabets River. So this northern part up here near Novoselivska, this is, part of that major offensive that they seem to be preparing for, that could launch at any moment. I guess you could say it already launched, sort of. They've taken ground near Kremena, to the west of Kremena. They've taken ground, moving kind of west, like southwest from Debrova, and moving west into Torsk. Although they haven't reached the town yet. So, anyways, this is going to be a major offensive, probably.
Is there a tactical reason why that area is really important?
Well, they really want to capture Sloviansk and Kramatorsk, and it's kind of not possible without Liman. Like I don't think it's possible to capture Sloviansk without Liman. They also want to break Bilohorivka and force Ukraine to withdraw all the way back to Seversk, and preferably they want Ukraine to withdraw from Seversk all the way back to their main. They have like a main defensive line that's like here, so they want to basically take all of this ground, and then eventually push through this and take this too. So that's kind of their long-term goal. It seems kind of impossible from my perspective for this to happen. I very much could see them moving up to the Jerabets River. I could see them taking Torsky. I could see them taking Yampol. I could see them taking. I could see them taking Liman, but I don't think they would get too much further than that. I do want to say that Torsky is kind of in a bad spot because the Jerabets River is a legitimate obstacle. Ukraine crossing this river and controlling Torska was pretty important for them, to be able to keep going towards Kremena and everything. But if they lose the town again, which is, I mean, it's at least a coin flip that they could lose the town again. You know what I mean? Like losing this town, it's not a big ask for Russia to move like a few kilometers and take the town. But for Ukraine to take the town back might be a little bit harder. Although you could push through the forestry area to take it back again. But it's just all a big nightmare. You don't want to deal with that. Like, preferably Ukraine is capable of holding the territory that they have here, because taking this land back would not be easy. The only reason Ukraine could take it in the first place is because the Russians were kind of the way they withdrew from Liman was kind of a disaster, so that Ukraine was able to capitalize on that. Whereas if Ukraine loses this territory and Russia can fortify it, taking it again would be difficult.
Thank you.
To be honest, I don't like taking it. Of course, they can throw a lot of people there, but it's once again going to be a huge bloodbath for them right now. I think it's going to be even harder for them than Bakhmut. I mean, they slowly they're doing something, but I don't see them going that far.
Yeah, I mean, the furthest I could see them going, just based on what resources I think they have available, the furthest I could see them going is like this. Which would be bad for Ukraine. Like, if that happened, it would be bad for Ukraine. But it's not like a huge success for Russia either. So this is a big upcoming battle. Depending on how this plays out, I wonder if this would be the last like big offensive that Russia can do. Like if they take a ton of casualties here, especially if they lose a lot of tanks, it would be crippling. Like I don't know. Like what do you think of that, Constantine? Like if they do an all-out battle here, the way they did in like Bakhmut, like they just push everything to capture this, like that could backfire.
Well, it all depends on. I have not very popular opinion, but yeah, everything can backfire. Every offensive is a risk. You spend your resources, and every offensive can lead to a counterattack that can gain the momentum. But once again, this counterattack, for example, did not happen in Bakhmut, and it was, I would say, it was they lost a lot, but they managed somehow. They did not get it back into their faces, the counteroffensive, and did not suffer any major consequences yet. So I don't know, but I like it just seems to be very. I don't believe that they can do it. I just don't believe they will. They will be able to man up enough forces, assault forces, willing to do this, willing to go through such huge losses once again. You remember that their assault tactics were heavily reliant on Wagner, and on Wagner is not there anymore. And without Wagner, I don't see without cheap human waves that they had from the convicts that no one cared about, and you could use the sledgehammer to motivate them. I don't believe that they can do this once again with their regular forces. We speak a lot about Russian regular forces, like how they don't care about their troops, but you must understand that they still far from what Wagner was doing with their waves. So that's why I don't believe in their very productive offensive. But once again, unless Ukraine does something like really poorly performs, which happens. It can happen. It's a war. Things happen. I know that. near Novoselivsk, things happened when rotation was performed. We've been holding it for 7 months without giving up single inch, and then some units were rotated and they had to they withdrew like literally next 3 weeks they lost some ground. So anything can happen, but I don't think that they will be able to move too far. Maybe 1 kilometer at best, and I don't think they will be able to get inside the towns. I don't believe so. Maybe they can get close to them. It's going to be another meat grinder, and I simply don't believe that they will have the capacity to do so efficiently.
We have talked about their reserves, their armored reserves. Now, we don't have exact numbers on what their armored reserves are, but we have reasonable estimates. They're on the order of 1,000, if not fewer, tanks. They're BMPs and BTRs. I'm not sure how many they have those. How many of those they have left? I imagine probably somewhere similar to the number of tanks, maybe 1,000, on the order of 1,000. So, and their production rates are about maybe 40 to 50 per month. So, and they're losing more than that. They're losing more than 40 to 50 a month. They're losing like 100 plus per month. So these reserves are going to be burned through. I don't know. I think conservatively, you could say there might be 2 more years worth of reserves if you're really conservative. I think more realistically, it's less than a year of reserves. And after that, I sincerely don't know what the Russian army will be capable of once those reserves are spent. And at the same time, they also have these artillery reserves, which I have absolutely no numbers for artillery reserves, but I've heard it's somewhere on the order of 1,000 as well. But I honestly, I've not seen any good numbers for artillery, like how many systems they've left, how many like SPGs, and I don't know, but I've heard it's around 1,000. So when I see these offensives and they do these pushes where they lose like 6 or 8 tanks in one attack, it just, every time it happens, I just think of those reserves, and like losing 6 tanks is a lot. It's not good. I mean, with Ukraine, it's the same way. With Ukraine, it's probably worse because there's no production at all, or I guess they make like 3 tanks or something. So there's almost no production in Ukraine. So the losses are even worse. But yeah, these big Russian attacks, I just don't know how sustainable they are in the long run. Because it seems impossible. Because when you think about it, it seems that Russia is going to go like kind of full strength until they're not full strength anymore. Do you know what I mean? Like
they did in Kiev, that's what happened. They wasted all their VDVs and they're still recovering from it. So it's they can do it, but they can try throw in their old reserves, but I mean, I have big doubts right now. They have not been successful. I mean, making something similar to Bakhmut is not going to make them. I mean, what are they going to accomplish? Are they going to take another Torska? What is it? A village, a small village.
Well,
I mean,
the goal would be Slovyansk. If they can't capture, they can't capture Slovyansk, then all of this would be for nothing.
There is so much more they gotta do.
I know. It's crazy to me. It's crazy they would even try. But that's what they're going for. They're saying we we spent all of our resources in Bakhmut, and now we're going to do the same in Liman because our goal is Sloviansk. That's the whole point. That's that's it. Like I don't know how else to interpret what they're doing because I think they basically want to capture
Their
Donetsk.
final goal is to have entire Donetsk
Yeah.
region. That's their goal. But I mean, and they're going for it. If you look at if you consider it in this scale that their plan is to take entire Donetsk, yeah, that's where they're going. But man, they're so far from it. So I would focus more on tactical things right now. I don't see the front suddenly collapsing completely. They once again may take a kilometer or two, but I don't believe that they can perform. We learned on our mistakes in Severodonetsk and Bakhmut as well. And I just don't think that they can come up with anything else. I mean, Ukraine right now, for example, what Ukrainians do in counteroffensive, which is slower than people expect, of course, but we got new capabilities and we're trying to maneuver capabilities. We're trying to use those. To try something, you got to come up with a new plan. You cannot just do the same thing that failed them multiple times in Vuhledar, in Avdivka, in everywhere else except for Bakhmut, where it also caused them enormous price. You cannot just stake and try the same strategy once again because you know that that strategy is not gonna be successful for you. So what Ukraine is trying to do, we're trying to get new capability, get new tactic, try to use it. Right now, for example, the track tactic did not go as well. So we're trying to rethink it and we're trying to combine, get something else, get other capabilities. Maybe that's why we're pushing for F-16s. But Russia, I'm sorry, they will not get new capabilities. They will not get F-35s in the near future. They will not have Armata tanks suddenly doing something out of the blue. It's not going to happen for them. So they don't have anything new coming in for them. So I don't see, unless they come up with something that we don't know, which I have big doubts about. They still rely, as we can see, heavily on Soviet Union technology. They got it a bit better upgraded and large numbers, but still it's the same. It's the same tactic, just a lot of firepower. That's the tactic that they know basically, and I don't see. Once again, I don't see them amassing, for example, 10 more millions of rounds to do this. Even 10 millions of rounds did not make them super successful. They still took on a small towns. So,
is there any risk to Ukraine that if Russia does start to have some success there and they have to move other people around to respond to that they could have some issues somewhere else?
So right now we have, this is my opinion once again. The front line is large, but at the same time, Ukraine utilized quite a bit, mobilized quite a bit of number of forces. And according to the doctrine, we have enough reserves to hold everything, and we have enough reserves to attack and counterattack. So I don't see that Ukraine will have to move forces from one place to another one too much. Once again, some movements, of course, will be needed, some rotations, some reserves would come in, but I don't see that it's like a brigade is going to be pulled out to completely, because we are holding we stabilized the front. We managed to rebuild most of all of our brigades. We managed to have them on the ready, standing there, and I don't see this happening. Simply, I don't. Right now in modern battlefield, and this is one of the problems that we're facing right now. That it's not that you need too much quality of the troops. Is that you don't need that much quantity of the troops, but more I want to say quality, but it's not only quality. You got to have the right mobile firepower at the right place. Not that much of having 10,000 here. No, you got to have a certain number of artillery and rounds to be over there, and Ukraine has that. I believe we have the resources, so I don't see this happening. But once again, it's war. Anything can happen, but statistically, I would say the chances are quite low of Ukraine needing to pull out some of the effective units from one place to plug in the hole in another place.
So I just want to thank AusAT for the super chat. Thank you. Um, so kind of moving south from Kremenna, Russia's been attacking Bilohorivka. They've been attacking here for a long time. The situation in Bilohorivka is almost completely dependent on the situation south of Kremenna. If the situation to the north of Bilohorivka continues to deteriorate, then Bilohorivka will probably have to be abandoned at some point. But for the moment, it is holdable, I guess. So Ukraine is defending it. Russia is trying to take Spleona. This field north of Spleona. Russia's been trying to push tank attacks across this field. Now, these tank attacks, they tend to kind of drive down this road here, and then they kind of drive along this tree line, and then they disperse somewhere along this tree line, and then they kind of drive across this field like this, and they kind of go like that. And every time that they've done this, it's been a catastrophe for the Russian attack. They've lost just a lot of vehicles here. They don't always necessarily get that far. Sometimes they get destroyed like over here. Sometimes they get destroyed over here. Sometimes over here. They can be destroyed all over the place, and they've taken a lot of casualties here. A lot of lost vehicles, a lot of lost tanks. A lot of these tanks are T-80 BVs, so a lot of T-80s lost. Some BMPs as well. So this kind of northern attack is not going so well for the Russians. Now, the southern attack, I have basically no information about the southern attack other than it's happening. This tree line here, I've seen conflicting reports on whether this is contested or Russian controlled. I've even heard some stuff that Ukraine kind of controls this part. I just have it all marked as contested because there's so many conflicting reports. So this kind of southern tree line, not really sure what's going on there. Where exactly in the south Russia is attacking, not entirely sure. I just kind of have it marked arbitrarily. They could be coming this way. They could be moving along this tree line. Not really sure. But anyways, so this the southern attack, not much information. This kind of middle attack, we do have a lot more information because of a given, this is going to take a second to load. There was a video the other day of significant combat in this area. So we had a whole bunch of drone strikes where they were, dropping little grenades all over these Russian positions. Lots of little grenade drops. So all these little drone icons are those, and also over here. There's also some artillery shelling on Russian positions, and they took out a mortar team. They destroyed a car that they were using to transport troops. They destroyed D-30 howitzer, and they destroyed MT-12 anti-tank gun. So this is all from one video, which is pretty impressive. All this happened in one video, but this kind of little red highlighted area that I'm over right now, this was the control area that changed as a result of seeing that video. So this is kind of the conservative shrink wrapped version of what their control would be. I basically just connected the dots of the areas that they were in. uh, Obviously, they could control a lot more, and it could extend all the way down to this tree line in the south, and it could go north as well. So that was kind of that in this Spleona area. So I don't really know the south. The north is a disaster. In the middle, Russia has gained ground. There was a video yesterday, right here, on this road where a Ukrainian drone flew over. There was a big pile of anti-tank mines, and a Ukrainian drone dropped a grenade on it and blew up all the tank mines to destroy this little patch of road. So and you notice that this is not exactly, but it's in this kind of northern part where Russia's been doing a lot of tank assaults. They've also done tank assaults on these open fields here as well. So I guess the point of blowing up that road was just to hinder a tank assault. It wouldn't necessarily stop a tank from driving over it. I'm sure a tank could probably still do it, but it might slow down the tank long enough to hit it with an ATGM or something. There's combat north of this Bilohorivka. I believe that this is often called Vasily, although it's closer to Bilohorivka. But I believe when they say there's a fighting in Vasily, that's what they're talking about. But there is a lot of active fighting here. There's also pretty regularly videos come out of fighting roughly here. This whole middle area is a contested area where when you see these Russian attacks, they tend to start down here, and then they enter this big contested area where they have to move a really far distance, and then the combat starts over here. So this whole big middle area is kind of a big no man's land, and all of those trees are destroyed as well. Now, south of Rostolivka, I've stated in previous streams that I was debating on whether I should mark this as Ukrainian controlled or not, and you see I finally have. We also saw a video confirming this Ukrainian advance closer to Yakovlivka. This advance happened in the middle of June, and it's now confirmed. This advance south of Rostolivka happened at the end of June, and it's also been confirmed. When I say that these mines were destroyed by a drone, I mean the mines were not a minefield. The mines were a bomb. So I just want to make that clear. It's not a minefield that the drone blew up. It was a bomb. It was a bomb made out of mines. Okay. Now, near Bakhmut, this weekend, there was a video of fighting in this area of Bridgehead. There are conflicting reports about what has happened since then. I've heard multiple Ukrainian sources say that they have solidified a foothold in Bridgehead and are continuing to clear the town. I've also heard that that Russia pushed all the Ukrainians out of the town, and the town is now completely in Russian control. So I don't know what to make of that. Constantine, do you have any?
We went in the deep. That surprised me, honestly. But there were a couple of attempts to enter. They failed, unfortunately. We had some losses.
Yeah.
Oh, I know that. We pulled out right now.
Okay. There's a Russian video yesterday that showed a whole bunch of Ukrainian lost vehicles. There's a BMP-2 that you can barely tell what this is. There's another BMP-2. Oops. There was a BMP-1 and a YRP. So those are all vehicles that were destroyed. It's not. I mean, it's unfortunate to lose the vehicles, but these sorts of videos Russia releases as like mostly as propaganda, honestly. There is fighting going on between Rivna-Bill and Dubovo-Vasilivka. The other day there was a video of a Ukrainian assault here. You see they assaulted this little forest strip here. You see them disembarking from their BMP. Now, how old this video is, I'm not sure, but this is the forest that they were attacking. Now, I don't know whether this attack was successful. I don't know who currently controls this forest. It could be Ukrainian controlled. It could still be contested. It could be Russian controlled. I have no clue. So, but I do know that Russia is pushing from, generally speaking, they're moving in the direction from Dubovo-Vasilivka towards Rivna-Bill. Now, I don't know if that means they're trying to take this forest again, or if they're pushing out of the forest towards the town. I'm not entirely sure. There's very little specifics beyond they're just moving in this vector. And similarly, they are trying to move west towards Vasilivka. So there's, generally speaking, fighting in this area as well. So that's all the kind of north of Bakhmut area. Now, south of Bakhmut, there was a Russian assault that, recently. I don't know if it was yesterday or today or whatever, but there was an assault where they tried to push from Clashifka up this road here and out. It didn't go well. I don't know if they even met the road, but this is a still from that video where you see a whole bunch of BMPs. You see this is a little pontoon bridge thingy. It's not really a pontoon bridge, but it's a bridge. Anyway, so they're trying to cross this bridge and counterattack the Ukrainians, who are obviously, if they're assaulting here, it doesn't bode well for Clashifka. It seems that they were probably trying to attack this defensive position at the top of the hill. Seems that that's probably what they're trying to do, or maybe even attack this part of the town here, maybe. Anyway, they around this pond area, they got heavily shelled, and they lost a whole bunch of vehicles. It did not go well. So that is kind of the Russian situation here. There's also Ukrainian shelling in the town, and Ukraine is more or less attacking the town from both sides, from the north and from the west. There are rumors that the town is currently abandoned. There are also rumors that Ukraine has taken the town entirely, and I've seen no confirmation of either of those things, so I just kind of have it still marked as Russian controlled. So that's more or less what's going on there. There's also these rumors that are unsubstantiated, I guess. Anyway, there's these rumors that Russia wants to withdraw from Clashifka, but they're under heavy artillery shelling, and they can't. Now, I don't really believe that, but that's a thing that people are talking about. I've heard a lot of people say this sort of thing. It doesn't really make sense to me. I feel like if you were really under that level of shelling, you would withdraw as fast as possible. What do you think, Constantine? I think it's kind of BS.
Sorry, regarding the Clashifka, are you talking about Clashifka or Zelena-Pili right now? Because I missed part of it. I'm sorry.
Okay, so the argument that I've heard, I think this is kind of ridiculous, but this is an argument that that Russia would like to withdraw from Klashivka, but they can't because they're under too heavy of shelling.
No, that's not true. Definitely not true. I don't believe so. That they do not withdraw because of too heavy shelling. They would withdraw because
Exactly. Yeah, that would be a really good reason to withdraw.
The state of they have problems at Klashivka. I know that there was some radio comms, and I'm not sure they were published yet, but that said, things are pretty bad for them, for Russians. So I will believe they will withdraw sooner or later. Like it will take them maybe. I mean, if you take a look, I don't know how we lost Clashifka initially, but the town is like on the lower ground next to the high ground, like literally. And if Ukraine controls the high ground, I don't see like how you can defend it. It's the difference. Yeah, exactly. What is the elevation difference here?
The top is 200 and the bottom is 150.
Yeah, so it's almost 60 meters. 60 meters difference for our audience. It's 200 feet difference, almost 200 feet difference. So this is a lot. This is a lot for you to stay. Your entire village is like on the palm of your hand for your recon. You see all the movements. You can position your artillery properly. You can even use direct. What is the distance between the start and the end of the what is the distance between the start of the elevation, the end of the elevation, and the end of the village? Yeah, from here to here. What is it? It's
1.7 kilometers.
Yeah, that's actually distance for a sniper, for 338 Lapo Magnum sniper rifle, and I'm not talking about even Stugna, ATGMs, Rapiras, or anything. So any equipment is that Ukraine has is capable of firing that far, and of course artillery has advantages when firing from behind. I don't see them being able to hold it for too long. I really don't. I don't understand how they managed to break through. I think they took it from the eastern, from the south. They went around, right?
They went up the canal. So they first went up this canal and then they went up this tree line. So I'll draw it. So they went up like this, they went up like this, and then they captured the middle, and then they kind of pushed like this, and they pushed like that, and they took this forest, and then they kept going up like that.
High ground as well. So I don't see them. If Ukraine manages to hold all these positions, I don't see how they can hold Klashivka for too long, for more than I don't know, maybe a week or two more, but that's about it. I don't believe they can hold it. I don't know if it's not too much. It's Klashivka itself is not like a super important town. I don't think so. But the high ground that Ukraine has is important here, not the Klashivka itself.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of Russians. They've been complaining. They think that if they withdraw from Klashivka, they're going to have to fall all the way back to Apitna. That this would be like kind of the new front line. I think that's kind of dooming, but that's what they've been complaining about.
Yeah, this is dooming is runs deep in the people of the world in general. But I do see them building a new defense line. Probably, if you had access to satellite imagery, to high resolution satellite imagery, you would probably see them building the defense line over this river. That's what I would imagine. That would be
I
the first.
know, I know they have a defensive line along this highway. Um, I know they built that a while ago. They likely, I can't remember if I saw a video from there today or not. It was yesterday. No, no. But anyways, I'm sure like there's tons of defenses. I imagine. I bet there's a lot of defenses around here. I also know that the Ukrainian assault on Kupiansk. I'm not sure what stage this assault is in right now. I've heard some people claiming that Kupiansk is completely contested, that Russia doesn't control any of it anymore. I don't really believe that, but I don't know what stage the assault is in. It could be in like the preparatory phases where they are um, maybe scouting and taking out key structures and whatever with artillery and whatever. But I do think that Ukraine is going to assault and probably capture Kurdyivka in the near future. And the same is more or less true for Ozaryanivka, which is right south of it. Um, this whole kind of flank of Bakhmut, I fully expect it to collapse. I don't know when. I don't have like a time scale, but I fully expect this all to collapse. I expect Ukraine to take back all three of these towns and maybe Andriivka as well. And I guess there's the fourth because this is a town. I guess it's really tiny, but uh, yeah, I don't know. Uh,
Yeah, this is like I don't. Once again, Ukraine lost this. We lost this. We're taking it right now back. We should not have lost it initially. It's unclear
well,
to me how it happened, but it happened. So,
I know why it happens. I could tell you why.
well,
Because
we did not the shell. The problem is the rounds for the artillery. It's one of the biggest issues for all our losses because we simply don't have enough artillery. Sorry, not artillery pieces, but rounds to fire. Neither mortars nor 152 or 155 millimeters.
yes, well, it was. You could say that was the reason, and that would be accurate. But I think more specifically, um, the reason all of this ground was lost was Russia was shelling this whole area, on a scale that was like unbelievable. Like the amount of shelling that went on was incredible, and that's Ukraine just couldn't sustain the losses that they were taking. They were just getting torn apart by artillery. I've heard from guys and women, guys and girls who were there, and they were telling me about just the extreme casualties that Ukraine was taking, trying to defend these positions when they're getting shelled, just constantly heavy shelling, and they just couldn't do it. And part of that is that they didn't have enough counter battery fire. That's definitely part of it. They probably needed like Gimlers. Gimlers taking out Russian artillery was probably needed, but they just didn't have those resources available at the time. So all the Gimlers were probably being used to attack Kherson, and they didn't have the resources to spend them shooting at these Russian artillery pieces. So the Ukraine took a ton of casualties trying to hold these areas. I remember hearing just brutal stories, just brutal. Like rotations getting wiped out like in a day from artillery shrapnel injuries. But and that this is more or less true of all of these towns of Kodema and Zaitseva and Drivka. Like this area in particular. Kurdyamivka was a little bit different, and Clashifka was more of an infantry fight in Clashifka, but this kind of core, these kind of middle towns, especially Kodema and Zaitseva and Drivka, it was all just extremely heavy shelling from Russia that the Ukraine couldn't withstand it. And also, I don't think Russia is even capable of that level of shelling anymore. I don't think they have the ammo. But anyways, we'll move on. In around Avdivka this weekend, we got a video that I don't know when this video happened. If it's recent, which I don't think it is, I think it was actually a few weeks old. But if it was recent, I would have to change my map due to you can see where some of this fighting happened. But basically, Russia took a whole bunch of tanks and stuff, and they charged. More or less, they started. I guess I'll draw. And also, this was actually not. It was not one attack filmed in one day, but it was kind of edited to look that way, although it wasn't. But anyways, Russia more or less started here and charged across the field. In one of the attacks, they kind of went down here and drove this way, and they kind of ended here. And along the way, they lost BMP, they lost more BMPs and more BMPs. So I think altogether they lost, I think, 3 BMPs and a bunch of infantry in that attack. In the other attack, they kind of went up here and kind of charged across the field this way. And along the way, they lost 2 BMPs. Oh, that broke. I need to fix that. They lost. There was some really heavy shelling from Ukrainian shelling, and they lost a BMP. This is harder to see, but it's right there. Oops, you still can't see it. Whatever. It's right there. So anyways, so these assaults were very bad for Russia. From what I counted, altogether they lost something like 5 BMPs and at least 1 tank, if not 2 tanks. Now, again, I don't know when this attack happened, other than it was a disaster for the Russians.
Is that, sorry if I missed this, is this a town that's just to the left of all that, all the lines?
This is basically the northern outskirts of Avdivka. This area, the area right here is Vasily, and this is Avdivka, and this is Kamyanka.
Oh, my computer must be rendering slow because now I can see it. Sorry.
Okay, sorry.
Definitely not your fault.
But anyways, so anyway, that was all from one video. It was a massive attack by the Russians that went very, very badly. There's continued fighting south of Avdivka. They're trying to push up from Apitna, although they've had no success. They're also trying to push north from Vodyana. They might have success or they might not. It's very ambiguous what is going on in this wide open field north of Vodyana. I don't think anyone knows what's going on there. So whenever you try to ask people what's going on, they're just like, I don't know. That's kind of the what we get. So it's all just a big gray area. Also trying to attack the Russians are trying to attack Pervomaisky, and it's not going well. To date, there was a video that came out of the Ukrainians attacking this position here. This position kind of became infamous because I have to be careful how I say this. The Russians were sending presents to their fellow Russian soldiers, and they repeatedly sent them really nicely packaged presents, and they kept posting the videos of their friends opening up these packages, every day for weeks. They just kept showing the same video of them opening the same present over and over and over again. And then now Ukraine is sending them presents. So first they got presents from the Russians, and now they're getting presents from Ukraine. And if you see right here, this little guy is a destroyed BMP-1. So these guys in this position, they're getting just all sorts of gifts from everybody. They must just feel loved and cared for. So that is what's going on in Pervomaisky. In Marinka, there's ongoing fighting. I don't really have anything to say. There are a whole bunch of various destroyed Russian vehicles. I don't know what vehicle this is. If anyone can identify this based on this little smudge, which vehicle do you think is this smudge? I guessed it was a Nona, but I don't know. You can guess your own smudge. It's kind of like the Pokemon, It was like, who's that Pokemon? Except, who's that vehicle? Anyways, so yeah, there's all these, and there's a BTR destroyed too. So in Marinka, I have no particular news. There's just heavy fighting constantly. In Mikilsky, there were a whole bunch of Russian vehicles destroyed. There was a van, another van, and a car. None of these are military vehicles, but they're all used by the military. The Russians, they tried to move up this little road into these dachas, which I have marked as contested. It is possible that this whole area is contested, given that the Russians are trying to move through it, but they were spotted by a drone and they were shelled. And also their, whatever this is, was also hit by a gift from a drone at the same time, as part of the same attack. So yeah, now moving towards Rivna-Bill, which is kind of the main part of the front line now. I decided to move up the Ukrainian line of control pretty significantly, and it is this kind of dark blue. And I'll tell you why I decided to move it up the way I did. This intersection, well, first, these two, whatever these are called, like ponds, retention ponds, whatever they're called. Or I don't even know if that's what these things are. But anyway, these two things are almost certainly in Ukrainian control. This forest belt, there used to be extremely heavy fighting here for a very long time, and now there doesn't seem to be anymore. And I believe the reason why is because it's completely in Ukrainian control. And similarly down here, I believe is also basically the same logic. So basically, I think Ukraine controls all of these areas and they're spreading out. I believe the front line is somewhere along whatever this kind of low ground is, and somewhere along this tree line are the actual front lines now. And this is all kind of the rear, I guess. Similarly, I believe Ukraine controls this part of this forest strip, and this part here, I believe Ukraine is pushing through and capturing at the moment. And this intersection of these like 6 forest strips, I believe, is roughly the current front line. So yeah, and this whole area here, I see very few signs of fighting, so I don't know what's going on here. I don't think anything's really going on in this middle area. It could be perhaps a minefield that Ukraine doesn't want to deal with. Maybe. I don't know. But anyways, Ukraine is definitely trying to move south into Pryutny, and with varying degrees of success. I do not believe Russia controls any of the ground between Pryutny and where the Ukrainians currently are, although they definitely seem to control the town itself. It seems that their like main line of defense is like this front row of houses, because I have not seen any evidence of fighting forward of these houses. So I don't know if there's trench lines or anything in front of these houses. At least I have not seen any satellite imagery suggesting this, and there have not been any videos suggesting it either that I've seen. Now, this whole area kind of between Pryutny and Bilohiria and Mala I have no news anywhere in this middle area. There's recently been fighting. Ukraine tried to push down. They say that there were leopards. I don't think they actually were leopards. But anyways, Ukraine pushed a bunch of tanks down these tree lines and tried to cut east at some point, and all the tanks were lost. So that was an attack that happened recently. I don't know when, obviously, but it was at some point recently. And now getting into Rabbitny. I don't know how to describe this. Okay, so it seems that this little force strip here, which no longer exists, it seems that Ukraine pushed through and took control of that sometime in the past, maybe. Or they either took control of it or it's a complete gray area. But either way, this force strip doesn't exist anymore. There are videos of them trying to push up to this forest strip, which does still exist, and they lost basically all the vehicles in the videos that we have of this attempted attack. Similarly, they tried to push through this kind of V here, and they lost a whole bunch of vehicles here as well. Now, we don't know exactly when these videos occurred, but it does seem that they occurred recently, because this thing, I don't know what this is, but it's kind of a whatever this is. This was torn up by something. I don't know what it's torn up by, whether it was people digging or artillery or something churned up all this ground. So it's not, so like previously it was undisturbed, and now it's like churned. So there's like no undisturbed ground left. So this disturbance is clearly visible in the video, but this disturbance did not exist on the 7th. So the video came out on the 10th, and it didn't exist on the 7th. So this means that this attack was likely on the 8th, the 9th, or the 10th. So that's reasonably recent.
That patch of ground looks kind of like a wetland almost. Like if I had to guess at it.
Let's look at it in 3D. Maybe it looks different in 3D. Yeah, it might be a wet ground. I'm not really sure.
Which, if you've ever had a tractor or something heavy stuck in, it would get torn up pretty fast.
Yeah. So it's like at the bottom of like a little hill. But yeah, it went from being this happy little green color to being just solid brown. And when in the video, there's like a drone hovering roughly right where the camera is here. So it was looking at it from like this angle, and you could see that this ground wasn't flat anymore, that it's like just like lots of little hills. It's like the way that I would describe it is that it's like if you had like some mashed potatoes and then you like dragged a fork through it. That's what this ground looks like.
That legitimately sounds like what happens when you drive a very large tractor through a marsh and you get stuck, and then you use your bucket to pull yourself out because nobody can come get you, which I know because I've done.
Yeah, so that's what that looks like in the video. But anyways, so this assault where Ukraine lost, I think they lost five Bradleys, and I believe they lost what's it called, a BMR, is that what they're called, a BMR? It's like the T-64 infantry fighting vehicle modification. I think it's called a BMR. But anyway, they lost like five Bradleys, a BMR, and I think maybe another tank in this attack. It didn't go well. It seems recent, that happened in the past 3 or 4 days. Yeah, like maybe I'll show you the satellite imagery, and you could tell me what you think would do this, because this area is large, right? So it's not like a small area. So it's not like one tractor driving through it could churn up all the ground. It would take like a lot, I would imagine. So let me find where this is on the map. Where am I? I always get lost on maps. Okay, here I am. See, from this is like a low res view, so you can't really tell what's going on. But if we go back in time, so the next image is going to be a cloud, probably. Oop, no, it's not. Okay, so here is the 7th. You see how it's all happy green. And if we go back another day to like the 5th, it's like happy green still. It's a little bit less happy, but it's still happy. And that's a cloud. And if we go to the 10th, which is the most recent image, it is not happy anymore. It's very sad. And if we compare, I'm going to compare the 5th to the 10th because the 7th is all weirdly cloudy. See, I'll kind of flash between them. So one thing you can see in the 10th is there's a vehicle drove down like this and made this like curve. This curve you can clearly see in the video of the assault, and you can clearly anyway, so that curve is clearly visible. Now
So the line goes straight across, like I guess that would be east to west there. It looks like another vehicle.
yeah,
kind
that, yeah, that looks like another vehicle, perhaps. That you can sort of see this track kind of start from this cloud and go south and wrap thusly. So yeah, this anyway, all of the evidence seems to suggest that this attack occurred after the 7th and before the 10th. So this probably happened on the 8th or the 9th. So this was a relatively recent assault. We can see that these trees are all gone, basically. Yeah, so it's all torn up. It's all messed up. Now, we have a video, which is actually multiple videos of an attack with all these vehicles being destroyed. Now, we don't know what happened before or after that assault. Typically, I don't think you would start an assault with Bradleys. I think you would typically start the assault with infantry and then bring the Bradleys in later. Also, typically from what I see, Bradleys are often used as a like a taxi, where they bring up a bunch of infantry who dismount and then go to fight, and the Bradley drives back and picks up more infantry, and then drives them to the front, and they kind of do that over and over again. So, what I'm trying to say is we don't know what happened in this fight. It seems unlikely to me that this was the initial assault. It seems that this may have been a second or third wave. And if it was a second or third wave, what happened to the first wave? Were they successful? Were there I can't say the word. Were there more waves after this that were successful? So we don't know what happened. All we have is a snapshot of a bunch of vehicles getting destroyed. Also, I'd like to point out that there is this heavy shelling just to the west of Rabbitny, which is brand new. So you see, if we go back to the 5th, it's not there, but on the 10th, it is there. Similarly, in this general area, you can see there's burning, scorch marks, increased shelling, although the increased shelling is a little bit subtle, but you can see, like here in particular, if we just zoom in this particular area, it goes from happy little green to sad brown. Will the Bradleys get replaced? I'm not sure if the Bradleys were destroyed. They were definitely disabled.
Obviously, some of them were, and yes, as you can see in many packages that we get in new Bradleys that they're coming in as replacement. So yeah, I'm quite sure that they will be replaced. It happened with every other vehicles before, and you must understand for United States, it's this the number of Bradleys lost is just a small dent, and they don't notice much.
In that particular assault, of those like 5 Bradleys I'm talking about very specifically, none of the videos that I saw showed that those Bradleys were destroyed. So I think, in theory, you could get them all back. If you could get close enough to tow them back to safety and repair them, I think you probably could. Because they seem to all hit mines. I think they all lost their tracks.
And to Constantine's point, like the US has been really intentional that after we see losses in videos and things, like within a matter of days, they come out with a new US aid package that specifically details fairly similar like Bradleys and things compared to what was lost in those videos. Like they seem to be signaling that this will be a consistent thing, that they will make sure that losses are matched right away. And I apologize, but I have to step down. But
Okay.
thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming. We're almost done. There's only going to be a few more baits anyway. So, okay.
Perfect. I'll come back and watch it later. Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Okay, so that's more or less the news I have for this area. There is one more area that I want to talk about. I don't really have anything to say about Piatikotki or whatever. So there's one more area that I want to talk about, and this is the Antonovsky Bridge area, because we have some interesting updates today about the Antonovsky Bridge. We have one update that stated that the Russians proudly, I want to note how proud they were, it should be noted, that they proudly captured these houses here today. So my hat's off to them, I guess. So they proudly captured these houses. They also stated that Ukraine is in control of these buildings here. So they actually said, more specifically, they said they captured these houses today and that everything else is controlled by Ukraine. That was actually the full statement. But more specifically, they stated that these buildings here, I'm not sure how much of these buildings still exist, but that these buildings are currently in Ukrainian control, along with all of the other buildings closer to the river. And they also pretty much said all of these buildings are in Ukrainian control, along all of these touches, other than this little spot. Similarly, Romanov today, and I have no reason to not believe this, honestly, but so I marked it, but Romanov claims that Ukraine captured this part of this island that I have no clue what this island is called. There's so many islands in this area, and I only know the names of two of them. But anyways, they captured this part of this island. So those are the two major changes in the Kherson-Antonovsky Bridge area. Okay, so that's kind of the last kind of update that I got. Other than Ukraine blew up a big ammo depot today in the southern part of Kherson, which is on the same train line that Rikove or whatever. This huge ammo depot that they destroyed a few weeks ago. The ammo depot they destroyed last night is like one train stop away, and it's one train stop closer to Crimea. That they blew that up again. They blew it up today. They also blew up a hotel in Berdyansk. Now this hotel, it's called Hotel Duna. We could end up hearing a lot of news about this hotel. This seems that it could have been a headquarters of some sort, and we could. I'm fully expecting we're going to hear like a lieutenant colonel or something was killed there. It's also what I made the thumbnail today was this hotel getting hit. So that's more or less all the news I have. Constantine, do you have anything to add?
I'm not a newsmaker, but no, I don't have much to add. I just hope, you showed this part near Leshki last time, just a moment ago. And to be honest, I have my relatives in there.
Yes.
And I was not watching too much, but what I saw is very what you're showing is very interesting. So I want to thank you for that. It's super interesting.
Yes. It seems that Ukraine is making significant progress in this area. You don't want to overstate what this progress means, because honestly, it's probably like 100 guys fighting here or something like that. It's like it's not huge numbers of people fighting. So you just have to keep that in mind. But they are setting the stage for possible future events. So if it's true, and this is what the Russians are saying, not Ukrainian sources, the Russian sources are saying that Ukraine is basically taking control of all of these dachas along the Antonovsky Bridge. Now, if it's true that that Russia only controls these group of houses, what happens if Ukraine can push them out of these houses and push down this highway, into maybe this little built-up area here, maybe, or whatever, into these kind of forested areas, maybe. What happens if Ukraine can basically seize control over this whole section, would that enable them to start actually crossing crossing the bridge on barges, maybe with heavier equipment? Maybe would it give them the ability to maybe start thinking about crossing the Konka River, which they actually have crossed the Konka River already, apparently. Although there's the Chaika River there too. So yeah, there's just a lot going on. They're setting the stage for possible future events. So yeah, it's interesting. Yeah.
Yep.
People are making fun of my dots, Constantine.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about those dots as well. Those are dots.
Here.
Different dots.
I connected the dots. All right, so that's the stream. I guess I'll be back on Friday, and it was nice having you, Constantine.
Sorry I couldn't come before.
Yeah, no problem. I know last week was like a holiday, so it's makes sense. I was really debating on whether I should do it last week, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do it. So, anyways, I'll be back on Friday. Maybe with a guest, maybe not. Who knows? I don't think that far ahead. So, all right. So I'll see you on Friday. All right. Goodbye.
Bye.